Hello guys! It's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it? Yeah, haven't really had the time to put out quick tip videos or tutorials or anything. It's been kind of crazy here, I got a couple of emails and one of them I would like to address. I think it deserves a whole video for itself. So I wouldn't really call this a quick tip video, but more sort of like a mail episode sort of thing. Never mind, let's talk about the email, shall we? I got this email from Daniel from changeblade.com if I wanted to talk a little about their Kickstarter campaign. Now, I talked about Kickstarters before on the show, and something I kind of really want to avoid because I feel like I give attention to somebody and not giving it to somebody else. I want to give attention to everything like equally, even though I can't really do that. So yeah, I've addressed it before, and if I do talk about some Kickstarter projects or something like that, it's because either they speak to myself, like personally, or I think it's a really like brilliant or cool idea, or could be really good for the LARP environment, just the nerd community in general. Now, the idea here for Changeblade was that you could have your sword, and then you could basically change your blade on it. You could screw it on or screw it off, and you could buy different parts of the sword, thereby making your own custom sword without actually having to build your sword all from scratch, which I know that some of you guys out there probably think is pretty nice. I thought the idea was pretty damn cool, and I wanted to talk about it. Unfortunately, in the meantime, the Kickstarter has kind of stopped. So yeah. There wasn't that many days left on it, and it didn't succeed. But for you guys out there who think, oh well, another Kickstarter failed. Sad, another project dropped to the ground. Wasn't meant to be, just continue on moving. No guys, a Kickstarter that fails can also be a very good thing. I mean, it's not good that it failed, but I mean it's good because you get a lot of feedback when you make a Kickstarter. And what I can see from their blog, and what I got from Daniel on email, because I wrote some questions to him, he put a really long description down on each of the subjects. I mean, I could have done an interview with the guy and probably got really good information. Thank you for that. In fact, I should probably talk with them at some point. Rambling. The Kickstarter failed, but that doesn't mean that the project is going to fail. Changeblade.com are still up and running. If you want to go check out the project, you can go over there. But what I read on their website is that because of the Kickstarter, they got a lot of people interested in the subject, and they got a lot of people to take their survey, and they got a lot of questions for their products. So now they're actually improving their products, and they're also continuing forward with it. The Kickstarter was kind of like, we want to create this thing fully available, and they were trying to gather the money to make the project, like start everything and make everything available. They didn't get the money to do that, so instead they're kind of starting from scratch with smaller projects and then building on top of it and slowly growing the business, so to speak. Anyway, I want to tell you a little about the project and just the thing, because right now the only thing I really said is that it's like a sword that you can take apart and put together. I'm looking over here because I want the sword. I don't have one of their products, but I want the sword to just show and tell. Might be useful. Oh, this is terrible. Don't use that. Let's use this instead. Yeah. So I wrote some questions for Daniel from Changeblade of what kind of product they had. So what was their idea with it? How customizable were the product? Stuff like that. So first of all, the idea is that you have 3 parts of your weapon or sword, dagger, whatever sort of weapon you're making. You have your blade, which is one part, then you have your handle, the other part, and then you have your pommel, the third part. So firstly, the foam that they are using is not covered with latex like Epic Armory or a lot of the other guys out there. It's made out of a closed cell foam. They call it, I'm just gonna look at my notes, which are over here. It's a medium density, flexible polyurethane foam, sort of like Calamasil. Now, in the email I wrote, I asked how many colors they were going to have, because the idea was that you could screw your blade off and then put another part on, or you could screw your pommel off and put another part on here. Actually, I could, if I had like 2 blades, I could probably screw one on here and screw another blade on the other side. Ooh, I could make very crazy weapons without actually doing a lot of work. And because they're made out of closed cell foam, I don't have to worry so much about maintenance on the weapons. So that's another nice thing. Anyway, I asked how many colors the weapons were coming in, and they said they were going to deliver it in 11 colors. As far as I understand, it's like one piece is going to be one entire color. No, wait, that's not true. And one piece has like a primary and then a secondary color. So you would have like the edge maybe in one color and then the middle of the blade maybe in another color. Personally, I'm not really that big of a fan of this because a lot of the colors are very bright. At least a lot of the colors that they're showing are very, very bright. So if I were to buy these, I would probably go with gray and black, which is very dull to me. But if you're like somebody who wants a pink double-headed axe or something like that, you can get that. Even actually have something with a heart shape down under here on the pommel. Now I don't know if you can actually get a double-headed axe and a little heart thing, because since the Kickstarter failed, they are going to start out a little slower, so they're probably going to start out with a blade and something a little more simple and not all the fancy stuff. But if you want to play a little more around with all the shapes and the colors, I definitely recommend you go over to the webpage. I'm gonna put a link in the description, like always. And there you can play around with their custom weapon builder. Assuming it's still live. You can play a little around with it on their website. I haven't actually checked before this episode. So some of the other things I asked Daniel about was safety between the joints here of the different parts of the weapons. And what I can gather from their blog is that they have changed some part of it. So they put a larger screw in here, and in here, so it's a lot more stronger, or it's a lot stronger. They put a metal core in the handle, so it's weighted, and it's also able to stand a lot more stress, because this part here is probably going to be the part that's going to be assessed to most stress. I mean, you are hitting out here, but as you can see, it's kind of bending. I mean, if you screw it together, it's going to be bending a lot more down here, so it's going to be a lot more stress at this point. They are also not making the cores out of fiberglass, but they're making it out of something I can't remember, but it's a little lighter, and it's supposed to be just as durable or just as indestructible as fiberglass. What I don't know is if it's just as flexible, because that's the only real thing that I'm really concerned about, because you need a flexible core in a LARP weapon, but with all the other things taken into consideration, I highly doubt they're going to go with something that's non-flexible. They're also making the weapons a little larger. Now, what I can gather, I think that it's great at taking all this into consideration. I just hope that this project do take off the ground and become a little bigger, because the fact that you can take parts of your weapon off and then put it back on and stuff like that, I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm not really that keen on the whole concept that it only has one color. But like Daniel said in the mail, you could potentially just take one part and paint it with latex. So I can kind of get what I want into this project as well. Plus, I can get a lot of different weapons by only buying a few parts. There's a lot. I mean, if I have a dagger here, I want to take the handle of this dagger and the pommel down here, and then I have an axe, I can put that on. I mean, then I will have a small axe, but I can also use this for a large sword, and also put this on the other thing, and then I can shift all of this around, and I can create a lot of different weapons without having to do a lot of things. I think this is very brilliant if you're like an NPC or like a game master and you want a lot of different type of weapons, but also just for a common LARPer, because you don't need a lot of LARP weapons to have a big arsenal. You just need a few pieces, and if one part of it breaks, you can just take that off and buy a new part, put that on. You don't need to buy an entirely new sword. That's probably the thing I think it's the most brilliant, is if it breaks, I don't need to buy an entire new blade. Well, I do need to buy an entire new blade if the blade breaks, but I don't need to buy an entirely new dagger. I think the idea and the concept is brilliant. The only thing I'm still a little concerned about is the fact that will my blade get loose in a battle, or will it pop off? If they're screwed on, yeah, probably they can happen, but we'll see. Now, if you want to check it out, you can jump over to the website. I do hope you have some spare time, or just take a little time to go over there and check out their product and play a little around with their sword weapon builder with all their different parts and colors, and get an idea of what this really is. Because at first I was a little like, yeah, I don't really want this, because personally I don't like to have a lot of weapons that look like each other. But the idea behind this is the fact that you can have a lot of weapons that actually don't need to look like each other. That way we don't all have to run around with the same type of manufactured LARP weapons. It's actually one of the reasons I started this channel, because I wanted to tell people how to make LARP weapons. Even though I haven't actually made that many tutorials about LARP weapons. That was this week's not really quick tip, but kind of mail video. I do hope you enjoyed me talking or rambling, or just going on talking about this project a little. I think it's a brilliant project. I'm a little sad that it didn't get funded on Kickstarter, but they're starting it on their own, like on a smaller scale. And who knows, maybe they will do a Kickstarter again in the future, just to expand a little. I mean, Changeblade, if you guys are making a Kickstarter for it in the future, be sure to send it to me a little sooner. That way I can get the word out on this channel a little sooner. If you also think this is a really cool idea and a really good concept, and you think this is something, if it's something that you wanted, go over there to the website and the social media pages, like the Facebook page and stuff like that, and tell them that. Tell them that you think this is a really cool idea. And also, yeah, go to their website and play a little around with their weapon builder. I don't think there's a word for it. Like, and yeah, put your most bizarre piece of weaponry together, and yeah, I don't know, tweet it to me or post it on their Facebook page. The most bizarre thing I kind of put together was this double-headed axe thing with a little heart on the bottom that was pink and red. I don't know, it just screams bloody barbarian. Bloody barbarian that's out looking for love. Scary love. Anyway, I think that was it for this video. If not before, I hope to see you guys again. And yeah, by the way, yeah, that is a Nerf gun. I'm going to paint that at some point. But right now, I have so many other projects I want to do. So it's just going to be on the shelf until I get to the point where I can paint it and put stuff on it and something like that. Otherwise, I'm going to see you LARPers later. Bye.